Over the last few years, he has been one of the top mock drafters in the entire sports media world. Why? Because this isn't his full-time job. He's just putting things together from what he's hearing from his friends, and normally he's pretty damn accurate. He's an Emmy Award winner.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, from NFL Network's Good Morning Football and Fox Sports' kickoff show, Peter Schrager.
Yeah, Schrags!
How you doing, Schrags?
Woo!
I'm great. Huge Matt Conti fan myself. Awesome dude. Tell Matt hello. Love him. And he's never told me crap either. So
okay, so Conti, would you like to say hello back? Hey,
Hey, Peter.
Hey, Pete. That's right. I don't know if you saw it. We'll translate. You have anything else to say, Conti? Like, how's your family or anything, or just a nice little hello?
Just hello.
Just hello.
Hello.
All right, he doesn't care about
Go
your family.
Coach.
He's focused on draft right now, Schrags, just like you are. We got another mock from the Schrags. Every time this happens, we get jocked up. Now, even more so for Colts fans because making moves for Malik Neighbors. Now, I think there's a chance that Jim Irsay says, like he told Chap, who's one of the local writers here, I would like to get Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, to do that, you would have to make a massive jump. How did you get to these picks here for these teams, and how close do you think this is to being finalized before next Thursday, Schrags?
yeah, so my process, Pat, is I put one out the week before the draft and then the day of the draft. And usually when I put my mock out, people know that it's coming from pretty reliable sources, or at least their guesses that make sense. And I've spoken to people. The amount of feedback I've gotten since this list went out has helped form my next mock draft. But I'll tell you right now, as we speak, doing this show, Adam Peters is doing a press conference in Washington. He's the GM. Kevin O'Connell and the boys are down in Baton Rouge meeting with Jaden Daniels. And Jaden Daniels' agent put out a tweet with a scratching chin emoji about the fact that all those different quarterbacks were at once in Washington. So things are
And we'd like to say, shut up to that agent. I think we all would like to say, shut up, dude. Okay.
There it is. Just one of these. Look, where there's smoke, there's something. And I find it fascinating that I did this mock draft. I had J.J. McCarthy going fourth overall with the Giants trading up. And I live in New York, so all the Giants fans freak out. They either want him, they don't want him, whatever. What was interesting was I've had 3 or 4 different teams reach out to me in the last 48 hours being like, are you just carrying water for the Cardinals? I'm like, I have no connection to the Cardinals. Like, I know Jonathan Gannon and Monty, but like, my guy was Kingsbury. He's been blown out of there. My guy was Kime. He's been blown out of there. Like, I don't have a connection to those guys. I'm not carrying water for anybody. I'll tell you this. The Giants have done extensive work on these quarterbacks. And I know that the night before Easter, they took out J.J. McCarthy in Ann Arbor, took him to Ruth Chris. They had a wonderful meal. They've met with him again since. Giants are looking at the quarterback. So I said, let's roll the dice. Let's put the Giants moving up 2 spots. And the response has been crazy on my phone from other teams wondering, like, how real is that? And then you've got these 3 teams at 11, 12, and 13, Pat, that are Vikings need a quarterback.
What?
12 Broncos need a quarterback. 13 Raiders need a quarterback, who are getting a little interested also, saying, well, wait a second. If the Giants are going, that's the 4 top quarterbacks gone and the top 4 picks. Well, what do you know? So I like to put it out there and then use the feedback, and then the day of the draft, I'll have probably a more updated one. But I feel pretty confident with a lot of the stuff I have in there.
Nice. Put a couple lines out in the water. You know, you never know what you're going to get back. Right. Get a little bit more information. I like what you did with the Colts there. You think the Colts maybe move up even more to get Marvin Harrison Jr., or do you think maybe quarterback, Marvin Harrison drops down a little bit more?
That would be, I mean, if the Cardinals sit pretty at 4, Harrison, I'm told, is the pick, but they could move out. Now, the Colts are interesting. The offseason, and Matt Conti's in the house right now. You guys know a lot of players re-signed, players they like, players they feel confident with. We love seeing Kenny Moore and Pittman and all these guys. But the Jaguars went balls to the wall on free agency. The Titans went absolutely bonkers in free agency, and the Texans went bonkers. You know Chris Bout. Do you think they're sitting on their hands and they're just going to sit at 15 and take a defensive back and say, okay, we're going to – I think there's a chance the Colts make a couple calls here and move up, especially if Neighbors or Dunze or Harrison falls out of that top 5 or 6. I love Pittman and Pierce. Imagine having Neighbors, Pittman and Pierce, and you could probably move up a few spots. The Bears, I look at them at number 9. I know Ryan Poles real well, and they love Caleb Williams, but at that 9 spot, the Bears only have 4 draft picks in this draft right now, and they don't have a second-round pick. That 9 spot could be really enticing if Neighbors or a Dunze falls down there to 9. Teams might be looking to trade up. It's a mock draft. I'm just putting it out there. planting some seeds. But I think the Colts would be a team worth watching.
I love to hear that. I'm pumped to hear that. I've not done any of my own research because, once again, I don't want to put any of my friends in any compromising positions, and I'm not an insider, so I'm staying out of the whole game. But boy, oh boy, it feels like a Jim Irsay move to bring Marvin Harrison Jr. home. It does. And at the end of the day, your scouts can do all the work that you want to do. Chris Ballard can do all the work that you want to do. You can have all the vision that you want for how your team is going to go, how the offseason is going to go. And then all you need is one billionaire to walk in there and be like, hey, this is cool, right? Yeah, it is. That is what we're doing, which is why the draft is so incredible. That is legitimately why the draft is so damn incredible, because who actually knows what's going to remember? Mac Jones was 3. For what was that? 3 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Mac Jones was 3 for literally every single day for 3 months leading up to the draft. Then day of, he ain't 3. And then all of a sudden chaos happens everywhere. That's why you being as accurate as you have been over the years is an impressive thing. AJ has a question for you, Shregs.
What's up, AJ?
I know in this mock you have Drake Maye going to the Patriots at 3. I know Elliott Wolf of the Patriots has come out and kind of said, hey, we're open for business. What exactly do you think he means by that? And do you believe that they will stay locked in here at number 3?
From what I've heard, the Patriots are very, very into both Maye and Daniels. So whatever Washington does at 2, or if a team trades up for 2, I think the Patriots quarterback at 3. Now, look, Elliott Wolf, if you know he's Ron Wolf's his dad, one of the most legendary executives in NFL history. He's been around Packers, Browns. Now he's got this Patriots gig. It's a big shoes to fill, obviously, with who he's replacing and making those decisions.
Mac.
But I would think this is a quarterback position. You're not looking to be top 5 again. This is one of the rare drafts where there's 3 guys that everyone says is a number 1 quarterback, and maybe 4 with McCarthy that you could feel comfortable with. I would be very surprised if they got cute. I know they have a lot of holes to fill, but don't get cute. Take the quarterback here.
So, speaking of the press conference, Peter's talking for the Washington Commanders. There's a quote that just came out. We're comfortable at 2. We are very comfortable at 2. We are going to stay here. We assume that means Daniels, as you do. Peter's on the possibility of trading the number 2 pick. We feel great about staying at number 2. I don't see a lot of scenarios trading down. That's basically them letting stop calling.
Yep.
Okay? We don't need any phones ringing at all from now until draft.
Look, the Daniels thing, to me, I thought that was a done deal a couple of days ago. But since I put the mock out and since the stuff with the agent and, you had the Top Golf meeting, which I think on paper,
Hey, Shregs, once again, earlier I told that guy to shut up. It's just because, you're not the story, dude. You're an agent.
No,
you
totally,
should not be
totally.
any part of this thing.
Totally.
Does he have baggage coming along with him? His family's great. School's great. Teammates love him. He does have this agent, though. It's like that should never, ever be in the conversation, which is why Ron's probably a good guy. Agent Butler, probably a good guy. I just think this is stupid. Just get your name the hell out of there and lock him into a deal that's already been negotiated by the NFLPA. You're not even needed right now, actually, because of the slotting of contracts, unless you're bringing in advertising deals. So there's no reason for you to even get brought up on this show or any other show. That is my opinion.
Unless you're trying to pull
Bosa,
some sort of power play and say, okay, well, we're not going to watch, which I haven't gotten any information they are, but I will say this.
Oh, okay.
One of the one things we've heard since way back at the Combine was that they're sitting at 13, but Antonio Pierce and Jaden Daniels have an incredible relationship, and Jaden Daniels looks to Antonio Pierce as a mentor, and they have a shared friendship and relationship from the Arizona State days. I just think 13-2, unless you're offering 5 first-round picks and Max Crosby and pick anyone else on our roster to get up to 2, I just think it might be too much of a leap. And as much as Jaden might want that or Antonio Pierce might want that, it's go from 13-2 is a massive leap. Remember, the 49ers moving up to 3, they had to give up 3 first-round picks to do it. So what's 13-2? I just think it's too much. But that's the one rumor I've heard, and that thing is kind of quieted over the last couple of months.
Okay, so that's maybe Ron's working then.
Yep.
Maybe I apologize. Do what you need to do for your client. With that being said, let's not be adding any more bullshit to the client's life unless you're making the big power play, like we have seen some people do in the past. What did you make of the Top Golf thing? So just for the viewers, obviously the context is they had, instead of just one-on-one, we're going to bring you all separate, Washington brings in 4 quarterbacks, not Caleb, but Penix, Maye, McCarthy, and Daniels. And this is all real from Breer, but what I loved is they were mixing it up a bunch, and it's really the 4 of them
with a lot of different people from the Washington Commanders front office and coaching staff interacting with them also. Pat, I've never worked in an NFL front office. What do you make of that? Does he think that matters at all? Or you think that's cool? What do you think?
So I've never been invited to one of these. AJ's been invited to a bunch of these. So obviously, as we learn about the 30 visits, top 30 visits, and we hear GMs talk about the importance of them, especially with the choreography of the combine and pro days now are choreographed seemingly, and the meetings are choreographed. They think that those top 30 visits, you can kind of get them one-on-one away from their people, put them in situations where you can really try them. So I think a lot of GMs have said that those are very, very vital to the entire judgment process here during draft season. But then Bill Belichick came on yesterday and said, we've had 12 guys in before at the same time. It kind of helps out our staff to be able to work at one time as opposed to 30 different separate ones. So I assume there's something that they think they could get from it. I assume that watching them interact with people in the public whenever they're at Topgolf, their competitive drive, how they handle conversations with the boys and everything like that, you could gain an advantage from. But I'd never heard of it before yesterday, so I certainly was confused by it.
And the top 30 thing, everyone's different on it. Like, I'm pretty sure, and I'll talk to McVay, I don't think the Rams under McVay have ever done, and I know they haven't had many first-round picks, but I don't think they've ever done a top 30 visit, and they haven't done any this year. Like, they don't do it. Some teams really value it. Other teams are just like, no, we're going to speak to them on Zoom. We're going to get a chance to go to their pro day. We've got all the film. Like, so the 30 visit and the significance of it, and even I reported on Monday that Brock Bowers is visiting the Jets, and it was like, the New York Post is the biggest story in New York because it's, wow, I don't know if it's as important as we make it out to be, but it is worth noting that different teams value them differently.
So Adam Peters actually just talked about this in his press conference via John Keim here. What's cool is we get to see them all together in a group setting. Of course, that's Topgolf, 20 people in at the same time. They all got a lot of time individually with coaches and with us. They were staggered coming into, it was a great blend of that and working everyone together in a fun environment. Now, quite an advantage to be in there earlier.
Yes.
As it rolls on, because you're more comfortable as the days go in. Hey, welcome. Well, yesterday we were at the building. You're going to the building today. This is what they're going to do. Like, what a time. Yeah. Okay, so this is how they're using new ownership, right?
Yeah.
True.
New front office, new era. We'll see if it works
Bob
out.
Myers, like, that's an NBA guy coming in, had a real role in who hired who at the GM and the coach. And, like, this is a small one, but there's a guy, Dave Gardy, who was, like, very high up, an SVP at the NFL league office. Schefter breaks news on Monday. It got like 10 retweets, but I thought it was maybe the biggest news of the week. The Commanders hired Dave Gardy, who basically has been working in the NFL for 20 years and kind of built some of the salary cap and waiver wire system, but also now the last couple of years was dealing stuff with the rules and with Troy Vincent and on the officiating side. And the Commanders hired Dave Gardy in some nebulous role. And it's like, that's a different way of thinking, that they are thinking outside the box a little bit. And I'm kind of curious to see what the Commanders do the next few years, because I don't think they're playing by the typical rules and the paint by numbers that the NFL teams have typically done.
Yeah, and you got to major in the nebulous. That's what people say.
Yes.
Yep.
If you don't major in the nebulous, then you're going to get out executed every single time. Connor's got a question for you, Schrag.
Yeah, Schrags, there was a comment from Brandon Bean. It was either today or yesterday about how, they're at 28, but they don't have 28 first-round grades for, the 28 players that could lead up to them. With that in mind, how many people do you think, or players rather, have those first-round grades? And at what point in the first round do you think we might see teams, trading out and, other teams maybe trading back in perhaps, I know in your mock draft you had Ladd McConkey going 31 to the Niners, but white slot receiver, he's got New England written all over him. Is there a chance?
Well, that's old New England.
They might trade. True, that is old New England, but hopefully they keep some of that, flair in these new teams
Pizzazz.
too. The pizzazz, yes.
It's not to get too wonky. It's a really cool draft in that it's great with the quarterbacks up top. It's great with the wide receivers up top, and it's really deep at offensive tackle. So it's a big offensive draft. Mm-hmm. There are probably two really elite pass rushers you'll see in the top 15. It's Latu out of UCLA, and it's Dallas Turner out of Alabama. Corners, you might see one in the top 15, Terrion Arnold or Quinion Mitchell. And then that's about it as far as like your blue chip guys. And you might get Byron Murphy, the defensive tackle out of Texas. And then there's this big group of like really solid end of first offensive linemen, end of first wide receivers, and end of first like defensive backs. So I think Brandon's spot on with it. And he also said like, we don't necessarily need to have a number one wide receiver. We need a smart wide receiver who runs route. We're not going to replace Stephon Diggs with the 28th overall pick, which leads me to think he's comfortable with whatever's there at 28 or moving back or taking a guy in the second round where there's not this great urgency for Buffalo to trade all their chips to move up because they do have, obviously, a guy they like in Kincaid last year and the other wide receivers that are still there.
Brandon Beane told us whenever we were down at the annual meetings, he said he's drafted wide receiver in every single draft.
Yep.
Every single round.
Every 7.
Every single round.